Hi, this is Cecilia from Tarot by Cecilia, and this is your weekly tarot guidance for the week of March 27th through April the 2nd of 2017. Wow, you heard that right. We're going to be switching months. Can you believe it? It's going to be April. That's amazing to me. Now, as this week starts off, we begin with our annual new moon in Aries. And, we all love new moons. They're a time for beginnings, and Aries is the beginning. And I'm thinking that even though at the tail end of last week on the 26th, Mercury entered shadow, my Mercury challenge self will be saying, okay, what can I initiate at this time, and what should I not do? All right. And I think you need to do that on a person to person basis out there. Some of you don't have as much of an issue, but for some reason I always do. So I will be being very careful about what I choose to initiate at this new moon. So on the 30th, Jupiter will once again square Pluto. The third of these will occur on August the 4th of 2017, and that will be right before the lunar eclipse in August. So, here we are, this one's smack dab in the middle, and this started back in November, right? It is all about power plays, basically. And the best way I can describe it, is the means to an end. So if you're really pushing to accomplish something, to do something, what are you willing to do to make it happen? So this is one that's very powerful that you're going to see playing out in your life and everyone else's life and on the world stage. There's a lot at stake here, and everybody everybody wants something, they want to achieve something. So what are you going to do to get it? And that's what that's going to be all about. Then also on the 31st, Mercury will enter Taurus. Now, as we said, it's already in shadow, and Taurus is where it's going to retrograde. So, the conversation is going to slow down a little bit, all right? It might turn to other things, but it won't be so as much maybe like in your face as it was with Aries. Now, on the 2nd, which rounds out our week, Venus, which is currently retrograde, will re-enter the sign of Pisces. And that's amusing to me because I already have the cards laid out. And when I put the last one down, I went, oh, that's interesting. We're really beginning to get into what I call retrograde season. So there's going to be a lot of review and looking back and looking over for months to come. But this is the heavy duty part of the year right now that's upon us. So anyway, let's see what we have going on this week, shall we? There's a great deal here about, how you wish to manifest. And you're doing this, I really feel like, with a renewed sense of purpose. There was something that happened to you back around the equinox last week. So last week kind of propelled you on into this week, and you're like, yes, I can do this. But, along the way, this is the part that's an issue for everyone. Along the way, there is some form of temptation, okay? And I look at it as though it's something that kind of like from the past. You don't want to be drugged back in that direction, okay? And this is something that you need to overcome. There is a complete sense of like will and determination to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like you're not feeling out of the woods yet, and you don't want to regress. So you're saying to yourself, what do I have to do to manifest what it is that I need, what it is that I want in my life? In looking at this with this week, it's a good time for making presentations. All right. I don't care if it's a sales pitch or whatever it is that you need to do. But if you have yourself, all right, because Mercury has only just entered shadow. So if you have yourself completely organized and prepared for what this is, you will be able to do it and pull it off with the greatest of ease. But it's that really, when I look at the whole thing, don't let yourself fall into any past patterns. that would have held you back before in your life. So this is all about where you're going, where you're headed, and how you're going to accomplish it this time. And I really like that. Okay, you're still, as always, working on that solid base. You've cleared away so much from the last 5 years since 2012. And what you've begun since last week is really that, okay, this is where I want to build, but it's a slow process. Okay, that's one thing that you need to remember. It's very methodical. And I almost want to say here that if you do not have weather, which is detrimental to your health, which if you listen in the background where I'm at right now, this is a quiet day for the wind here, and it's crazy. But if you can go outside, one of those crazy things, if it's nice enough to go sit in the sun, go sit in nature in a park, I'm telling you, it is one of those things that's just good for the soul, and it's here. It's something that you definitely need, because all of those everyday responsibilities, they can seem so overwhelming. So take that moment out in nature and take the time to just be, whatever it takes. And I think it really does give that renewed sense of purpose. This week there's definitely a good feeling around how you're doing things. Now, I know I said that Mercury would be moving into Taurus, but that's not until the end of the week. So, you're looking at Mercury moves fast anyway. And as it gets to that, most intense anaretic degree of Aries, there could be some pretty intense conversations taking place this week. You might find yourself on information overload. That's what I'm seeing here as what is kind of, bogging you down. That's why I'm saying if you have a chance and you can just go, and I always used to do, like if it was too cold, I'd go out and I'd clean my vehicle on a sunny day and sit in the sun because it magnifies it through the windshield. I know that sounds a little crazy, but you can still enjoy that warmth of Mother Nature even on a cold day. For some reason, it's here. It's like you need that. You need that getting in touch with the earth and being as grounded as possible. There is so much going on here. There's a good feeling around commitments. Now, that's unusual, okay? Mercury and her shadow, yeah. And, Venus is already retrograde. And Venus is going to re-enter Pisces, so maybe it has a little bit to do with that. Maybe the emotional aspect is returning. We'll see what happens with that. But as we all know, with Venus retrograde and also with Mercury retrograde, we tend to see people from the past. So, there are some interesting things going on here. Also, that for whatever reason, it appears that some of you have places to go, like social events, parties, whatever. And this is about around the time of the new moon. And if I can remember, someone did ask me, would I please give them information regarding new moons and what to do? Because that's what I see here is like many of you, now that you're in this new phase and doing some sort of a new moon ritual, okay? I think it's one, how sometimes you try these things and you think, oh, that didn't take, it didn't stick, it didn't work. But whatever you're doing this time, it's going to work. Might take you a few months to see the results, but it's going to work. Being able to come, I don't know what to say, to terms, but finding peace with a particular situation is a really good thing for you, all right? Because there's closure that's needed, and you've been trying so hard. Now, what you need to remember when I say this is that it's not one particular situation. Some of you have quite a few, all right? So at least one of the ones you're working on this week, you're like, okay, I want to be done with this part. And it's kind of in a sense that you're telling the universe at this time, all right, I'm done with that. I'm at peace with it. I'm ready to go forward from it. But I still think that it takes a little bit of time for it to actually happen. Because when we hit the equinox last week, we talked about going from equinox to equinox, but there's still like a stopping off point in there, which I feel is the solstice in June, even before the solstice, okay, where you're able to turn your back on that old issue, like really feel like it, like finally, where you step out and you go, okay, I can now just focus on my future. Because there's things every time you tried, it would drag you back. And like I said, we're coming into retrograde season. So there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days. I feel it's overall good. All right. I don't think that there's anything that's coming in these next 3 months that you can't overcome. But how you have begun, like last week and this week, tackling this, especially with the new moon and organizing everything in your life, all right, that's what's going to tell the tale of where you stand 3 months from now. Because even though you're going at a gradual pace, this is kind of like an endurance run, all right, where you just have to like maintain that steadiness and the stamina to keep on going, not letting the losses get in your way. As long as you keep your focus shift toward, because there's that, it's almost like that battle of the identities, the old identity, there's still little bits and pieces of it around, and maybe some will always be there, but the new identity wants to like really emerge, and even you don't know yet where it's taking you. And it's going to be an amazing journey. That's why I think when you get to June and you've put so much behind you, you're going to be like, yes, now where to? Like a big old finally type of thing. All right? But keeping the momentum this week and not allowing, like I said, past habits, temptations, and things to get in the way, you really can begin to make some progress. Now, this is all about communicating talk, change, and success with change. Okay, I believe that, and there's a difference here. I'd have to explain it in a personal level without getting personal and really talking about everything. But I have definitely not lived the easiest life, and yet you guys listen to me all the time, and I am always extremely positive. This is what gets you through. Your perspective is very important. How you view the fulfillment in your life. Okay. If you're always, because I'm looking here and I'm like, if you're always looking at things about, like mourning what you lost or what you don't have or what you wish you had, you're not paying enough attention to what it is that you already do. Because there's a lot about this week that pertains to like wealth. And I'm not talking about your money. I'm talking about the wealth within and your appreciation for life. So learning to accept and recognize the positives that are present in your life. It's a beautiful thing, okay? You allow your power to be robbed if all you think are negative thoughts. And believe me, positivity is a wonderful, wonderful thing. There have been many times in my life when I probably never thought that I would be here telling you all this now. But I always picked myself up and I went on and I am here. All right. There is this, wow, this is an incredible new moon. When I look at these cards, I'm like, there is so much. The moon brings that intuition forth. And listen to it carefully. All right. Listen to it carefully. It wants to tell you at this time. It's an Aries, remember? Okay. Some sort of fantastical truth regarding the changes that you need. All right. There's a new beginning that's in here. There's always new beginnings. Your life is not one set thing, one set focus. So, absolutely amazing. Remember what I said back in the beginning about being organized? Well, what I want to say here is don't allow yourself to be trapped by all the clutter in your life, all right? Whatever it is, because it really prohibits you from seeing your true potential and where you can go and what you can do. So when you're looking for solutions, If you're just tossing, even physically, okay, let's talk about physical things around you. If you're just tossing things around and not making sense of it all, you aren't going to find that solution, okay? But what I'm seeing here is that you most definitely can. Some of you may find a particular, wish that you've had being available to you this week. What it will do, now that's just the thing. It doesn't solve all of your problems, but it makes them a little less like, okay, I can forget about that for a little while. And that helps. All right? Very important. And then we have the whole fate steps in thing. Now, this is interesting, okay? Because even though this week covers the new moon, it'll be a couple weeks before we talk about the full moon. But things are beginning, all right? You might have noticed it last week with the equinox, the phase that you're in, and you might have gone, oh, okay, now I see what she's saying, because there's some area that has changed. More change is going to continue. Things may feel like, they're grinding and you're tugging to get them going, but they're going. In spite of retrograde motion, they are going. And, there's it's almost like being drawn to the full moon that's coming up in April. There's been things that I've been seeing about that. We'll have to see what comes out when I go to do, the Patreon guidance for it and everything, because it's a significant time. It's like around that time you'll have Venus finally going direct. So things are changing. There's a lot going on right now from what I see here, with relationships. Okay? You have Jupiter in Libra, which is retrograde. You have Venus, which is retrograde. And you have Mercury getting ready to retrograde. How can you not be focused on relationships, okay? And I do think that whatever, even if it was a struggle in the beginning of the week, how you were trying, like I said, don't let any past temptations get in the way. I think that you managed to get a new cycle going with that. I don't care if it's a diet or whatever it is you're trying to do. You can finally find that. And maybe that comes with the new moon. Maybe that's a good place to have a new start with something in that area, because it can pertain to your health, whatever you're trying to do. And, there's that not overindulging, all right, being extremely balanced. So, there's also here, I want to say that not going to any extreme. In other words, just keep it the way it's supposed to be. Don't go from eating pizza every day to being a full-fledged vegan. Just gradually do it. Wean yourself off of things, whatever it is. So whatever you apply that to in your life, because that's what I'm looking at here. I'm looking at that shift of focus. And as your focus is shifting and you're going, this is part of your transition. You're going from that person that you were to the person that you're going to be. And as I always tell you, it isn't going to happen overnight. All right? So, now, decisions, not so much this week, all right? But change, yes. There are things, I think, that come up, and probably even in the next few months, surprises that happen along the way. And it's kind of like, whoa, wait a minute, halt, let's stop, let's look this over. What just happened here? All right? And it's going to be that way. Not saying that these things are bad. I think that they are just things that require you to take a logical approach and see what's going on. And always stick with the facts, okay? The facts are the most important. They, people, with so much of this energy that's been going on, and I mentioned, like the, Jupiter and Pluto, all of that. If there's power plays happening here, that's what this could be, is one of those power plays somewhere in your life. And, you got to keep your head about you. You've got to know what's going on with other people. And, not everybody is going to make a power play by being truthful and honest. Let's just understand that from the get-go. So I really think that if we break this down, not so much by the day, But, the course of the week and where the planets are, that you're going to find, all right, this week is a bit of a mixed bag, in a sense. The pace remains pretty hectic, until Mercury enters Taurus on the 31st, which here is not until 12:30 p.m. where I live. So, check and see what time of day that happens in your area, and then things might die down a little bit. But there's an awful lot to digest in the first days of the week, through the 30th at least. That's 27, 28, 29, 30, 4.5 days, somewhere in there. So when I say it's kind of action-packed, yeah, I think so. It's going to keep you busy. And, maybe after that, because then you have Mercury in Taurus, and then you have Venus in Taurus. No, I'm sorry, Mars. Don't let me get all the way to the end of the tape and say the wrong thing. But yeah, Mars in Taurus. So, activity-wise, I think things slow down a little bit then. But you'll notice it with the conversations and everything else. And, there's that, what am I creating? Like questioning it, all right? And when you want to create, and we talked about that organization, that means it's kind of like clearing out at the same time. So, in the U.S., this is always considered the time for spring cleaning. This may be one of your activities. You may have stuff everywhere while you still have that Mercury and Aries energy going, oh yeah, let me do this. It's springtime. Let me get this done. And, it leaves you looking at what's there and what you want to do. So you kind of, it's not as much having a plan as it is having a vision. This is what I want to create in my life. So you may want to create a new area, a new space in your home. So there's a lot of ways this can go. All right. Truly a lot of ways this can go. But what I'm saying is that for the first 4.5 days of the week, it's going to feel pretty eventful. Maybe after that, it slows down a little bit. I do feel that any decisions you make should be really grounded ones. All right. No, I don't want to use, not the word impulsive, but not to be naive, not to be too, there's a little bit of a caution here when it comes to any important decisions that you make. And that's not saying that you shouldn't. It's just more of like that beware type of thing. Okay. Beware of what's going on. Beware of pitfalls in your decisions. So in other words, don't decide on something without thoroughly checking it out in the first place. And that's pretty much where we're at for the week. And then you might want to just take a nice long bubble bath by the end of the week. So that's where I'm at with that. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. I want to thank you for being here. And as always, have a great week. Take care.